Hello, everyone. Hey, this is a Saturday Night Live Life Recovery Meeting, and we're glad you're here with us. We're getting started just a few minutes late. We was trying to get organized here, and there's a lot that seems to go wrong with technology nowadays, but it's better than better than not having. So, but anyway, everyone has seemed to like our breathing exercise. And so I've got it on gallery shot right now. So everybody is on gallery and hopefully being presented to our YouTube and Facebook group. So let's all take a deep breath and breathe all the way down into your stomach. Okay. You know, like a way a baby or a child breathes, just not just in our chest, but all the way into our stomach. Breathe in and then out. Breathe all the way in, down into our stomach. And out. Not everybody's breathing. I just thought I'd mention that. And now I want everybody to say, forgive me, and breathe. I'm sorry, and breathe. Thank you, and breathe. All the way down our stomach. And then say, I love you, and breathe. That ought to do you some good. So anyway, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for coming in and being with us on our Zoom meeting. Thanks for those that are out there in YouTube land, and Paul's trying to get on here. So I'm going to go to you, Zach, and take it away, Zach, and welcome everyone and go from there.
All right. Well, welcome to Saturday Night Live. We're glad you're here. And so of all the things you could do on a Saturday night, you chose to join us, or if you're watching afterwards, we're glad that you're here. If you don't mind, go ahead and leave us a comment and let us know that you visited us, and that always helps us out. So without further ado, we're going to move on with the meeting. So please welcome Macy. She's going to read the 12 steps for us.
Step 1. We admitted that we were powerless over our problems and that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3. We made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. Step 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. Step 7. We humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. Step 8. We made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9. We made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10. We continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. Step 12. Having a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
All right. Thank you, Macy. Appreciate that. She did a good job tonight.
Thank you, Macy.
All right. So we're working on step 8, and so we're going to pass it over to Lisa. She's going to do step 8 for us. Please welcome Lisa.
Hey, everybody. So the section that I am talking about in step 8, and if you don't have the Life Recovery Bible that we work out of or the Life Recovery workbook, I would strongly encourage you to get it. This is what it looks like for the workbook here, and the Bible looks just like this, but much bigger. So they go together, and a work for me have been instrumental in change in my life. And so they break each step down into little sections, and then makes it a little bit easier to kind of go through and work the steps. And I found that each time I go through these steps and work them, that a different section seems to stand out and apply to me and where I'm at in my life. And so this week I am talking about step 8, reaping goodness. And sounds all warm and fuzzy, but as we know, these steps are not all warm and fuzzy. So, well, they might be a little fuzzy, but they are not warm. So let's go through these. You know, as many of you know, I've talked about how God has taken me on a journey of, and each time I work these steps, it seems to be getting deeper and more intense. Because it has a little section on it, it breaks it all down, and it says, we made a list of all persons we had harmed, became willing to make amends to them all. Well, in recovery, we learn to accept responsibility for our actions, even when we are powerless over our addiction. We come to realize that all our actions yield consequences. Okay.
Okay, Lisa got booted. She's gonna take a second and reconnect. So it's
Am I back?
there you
Yes.
are. Okay. There you
All right, so we'll try this again. Sorry about that, guys. So it says we come to realize that all our actions yield consequences. Some of us may have fooled ourselves into thinking we could escape the consequences of the things we did. But with time, it has become clear that God has made accountability a necessary element of healthy living. You will always harvest what you plant. Those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful everlasting spirit. Galatians 6:8. The law of sowing and reaping can also work for us. God spoke through the prophet Hosea, plant the seeds of righteousness and you harvest a love. Plow up the hard ground for our hearts, for now is the time to seek the Lord, that he may come and shower righteousness upon you. 10:12. God says we always reap what we have sown, even after we have forgiven. Is one time. It may take time to finish harvesting the negative consequences past, but we don't have to let this discourage us. Making of who we harmed is a seed. In time, we will see a good crop begin to grow. And are you guys not hearing me? Oh,
We can hear you.
I'm sorry,
we just
guys.
couldn't
I'm
see you.
okay. Sorry, it keeps throwing me again. So I'm
Well,
hoping you can hear me. I try to,
you're completely
are you
gone
still hearing me?
now. Sometimes.
No. Okay, so it was interesting to me. I'm going to keep trying to go. If you need to stop, Doug, just stop me. Tell me, we'll move on. But what was interesting about this is,
Somebody does not want me to.
Okay.
somebody does not want me to say what I'm saying.
Her stuff isn't working. I'm gonna hand her my phone, see if she can do it from there, okay?
Okay.
Come on.
All right. So
Hey, Lisa, that's much better.
hear anything now. I have no audio.
What?
So this will be fun. So I'll just keep talking and hopefully you guys can hear me. So in the Bible, they also have these reflections that talk about recovery themes. And in here it says insights, and it has an insight about consequences. And it says, Paul left an important reminder for us all. We will always reap what we have sown. In other words, sin and addiction have painful consequences. For a while, we might be able to fool ourselves into thinking that certain activities and relationships are all right. But when the consequences catch up with us, there will be no denying the fact we need to take this warning seriously and take steps to change now. We don't have to wait and to hit bottom before we act. Using God's word as our standard, we can take fearless moral inventory and work toward godly life before it's too late. Which I thought very interesting. That brought something up, and that made me kind of think that correlation between that fearless moral inventory from step 4 and this making this list of all people we've harmed, and this reaping what we've sown. We can reflect back on this, reaping what we sow. We can use that as a tool. It's not just about reaping goodness. Made me think about if we're looking at our lives and we're not reaping the things that we're wanting right now in our life. If you're, for instance, if you're feeling like everybody around you is negative, or you're only having negative interactions with everybody you come in contact with, well, then maybe that's where you go into that reap and sow thing. What kind of seeds are you planting, or what kind of soil you're planting your seeds in? So if you're planting your seeds in negative soil, you're going to harvest a negative crop. If you're planting negative seeds in a positive soil, you're still going to get a negative crop. So I think about, if everybody around you is angry all the time, what kind of seeds are you planting? Are you angry too? If you feel like nobody ever here listens to me, well, are you listening to others? Are you returning that favor? So when we talk about reaping goodness and making a list of people we've harmed and being able to use that as a tool, when we feel like we're having that reap and sow thing, we can use it as a guide for us to identify, am I on the path to where I want to be? Am I in our recovery? We can use that step 4 tool along with our step 8 tool to do those little inventories. We can identify, am I getting what I want? Am I reaping goodness? If I'm not reaping goodness, okay, so what needs to change? What do I need to do? And work that way. And I think that the more that we just stick with it and keep going, sometimes, when you plant your garden, we talk about harvesting the crops. Sometimes when you plant your garden, you can plant lettuce seeds and you can have a crop fairly quickly. But then you may plant pumpkins or melons, and those are going to take a minute, right? the sweeter the fruit, the longer the longer it takes for it to harvest. And so we often think, well, we want those quick things, but that lettuce, the leafy greens, the nutritious stuff, that's usually that quick stuff, and we are easy to dismiss that. But that's sometimes the stuff that we really need. But we want to go for that sweet harvest, and that sometimes takes the longer route, and we get impatient. We want our melons, and we want them now. So sometimes we have to just learn that maybe the reaping goodness is that we have to. It isn't just that we get to this point where we make this list and we're doing good now. We get to this point in recovery. Sometimes we get stuck in this trap here where we're like, well, I'm doing good, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and they should be nice to me. But then we got to remember, just like we have to give ourselves grace and mercy, we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Yes.
So are they. Just because you are doing good, it doesn't mean that you are always being good. So give it just a minute and keep doing that thing to where, so others can see that too. Give them the same grace that you gave yourself. And so this step sometimes is a little bit, it gets a little bit difficult sometimes. It gets hard to be patient. You want to mend those relationships, and sometimes it's a little bit longer and a little bit harder. So, but that's kind of what I had on that, was that reaping the goodness is make sure you're being patient. Check the soil. Where are you planting your seeds? Or what kind of harvest are you reaping? Are you reaping goodness? So, and be patient. Sweeter the fruit, the longer the harvest. So that's what I got. I'm going to turn it back over to Zach.
Thanks, Lisa. She can't hear me, but thanks, Lisa.
He said thank you. She's going to try to get back on, and you're getting thumbs up from Doug number 2 there. So,
Thanks.
Before we pass it along, I just want to say that was really good stuff, and that's kind of an example of who we are here at SNL. We had some difficulty there, and we don't want to put on. We're not putting on a show for folks, but we want it to be worth everybody's time. And so, it's when those kind of things happen, it's not that, a little bit of panic sets in. You're like, oh, what do? Do you just cut it off? Do you, what do you do? But that's kind of what we do in recovery, isn't it? We persevere. You don't give up. You keep pushing forward, because the truth is there's stuff that gets in your way, and difficulties happen, and roadblocks appear, and it almost feels like sometimes no matter what you do, because how when we're doing the bad thing, it feels like there's no obstacles. Then we start doing the good thing and start making healthy choices. It seems like all hell breaks loose, and then it's like we have all these roadblocks and all these barriers. And tonight, that was just a small thing. We had a lot of difficulty. It kept throwing her off. And the funny thing is, it's the exact same phone. It's the exact same data. It's the exact same internet. And we're 6 feet apart, and it's funny how those things happen. And we could have just ended it, and she was willing to do that. But, that's how recovery is. You just got to keep going. You got to keep pushing through, and you can't give up. And if we would have gave up, we would have missed out on all that stuff that was really, really good. I'm glad we didn't. And if you're hitting barriers tonight, know that you're in good company. And sometimes the rough road means that you're right on the right path. An easy road sometimes is, that should make us look, this is a little bit too easy. Why is this so easy? So I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to point that out, that was just a prime example of how recovery really is, and we have to keep pushing through. So without further ado, please welcome Miracle for Reflections.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Wow. That hits home, what Lisa was saying. What you reap is what you sow. Still today, react towards my situation with anger. And then when they react in anger, it's like, well, I just act that way because, when you get hurt so bad, you're just normally, that's what you do, is you want to fight back. And then they, it's just hard. But this says, what crop did I sow while practicing in my addiction? And a lot of that was acting out in anger, and it's coming back. And I was telling Doug, I made him laugh. I told him I was laughing. My spin on it is, what kind of fertilizer are you using to grow your crop? I got a laugh from Zach. Anybody else? Doug's. I got, all right, thank you guys. But we can put the manure. I mean, we put manure on there all day, and yeah, it will grow. Might not smell too good. You know what I'm saying? And that hit myself today that, you use poop, but you make excuses and negative stuff on there. It's going to make it grow, but might not smell too good when you do it. But, I got mad with my mom and very angry. And then in response, she was angry back, and then not want to talk to me. And it's like, now what I do, I've, pushed her away. And so it's like, now what I do. But like I said, just realize that, what kind of, not only do you plant it, but, what do you water it with the proper stuff? Do you feed it the right stuff, to help it grow? If it's bad stuff, you're going to get bad stuff. So, some of you got pictures of my flowers. Speaking of that, what if I didn't water them for a week? I wouldn't have these pretty flowers and things I have. So, but that was mine. Everything I reacted in anger and hate. But it's not fun when it comes back to bite you in the tail. So, but that's my part of it. I was telling Doug, I think this is the hardest step for me at this time. And it's like, can I skip to 10? And he's like, no, how's that going to work out for you? But anyway, thank you guys. I love you. Thanks for listening to me. Glad everybody's here. Back to Zach, I guess. You gonna go back this time?
That was really, really good, Miracle. Lisa's over here talking, but she can't use her phone, so she's gonna say something real loud to you.
I unmuted. Here, as long as I don't turn my audio on, I think I can talk. So, Miracle, here's a thought when we're talking about the reaping the goodness. You're talking about reacting to your mom with anger. How much different would it be if you reacted to your mom with the kindness that you always wanted from her? How about if you planted those seeds? Even if she's being mean and even if she's being bitter and angry, what if you treated her with the kindness, love, and compassion that you've always wanted from her, no matter how bad she was acting out? How different, what kind of a harvest or crop could you get from that? I think that's what
I want it fixed overnight, and I know it won't be fixed. Just
nope.
think before I react.
But that's what it's about, is this step is we have to make a list and become willing to make amends to them all. So we have to make a list of all people we had harmed and become willing. So we have to become willing to get to that place. You have to work in this step, Miracle, is for you to become willing to make amends and treat mom different than mom treats you, and endure the time.
Yeah.
So, not to be, I had a kind of a thought, and maybe Doug, you can help me with it because I may step all in it here for a minute. Not to disagree with my wife, because what she's saying is true. It's truth. There's truth there. But sometimes making amends to ourselves is not going around those that repeatedly harm us. Sometimes making amends to ourselves is protecting ourselves, guarding our heart. You know, there's people that I know that they just can't, for whatever reason, they can't accept the new me, you know, because the truth is there are some people out there that if they don't have me to whip up on and to badmouth, then they gotta look at themselves, you know, because I got sober. So if they start treating Zach like he's recovered, then they gotta look at their own life because they're not recovered. You know, and so, you know, I remember one time that you know, I work and I love the work that I get to do, you know, and one my work that I do is I'm a peer specialist, and one thing that we do is we model recovery for others. And so when I first started my job, people didn't really know what that was, and so they thought I was just newly sober. They thought I had just been sober like, you know, 2 or 3 months. And so and somebody kind of popped off and made a comment, "Oh, well, what do you got? You know, 30 days?" You know, and I said, "Oh, well, I've got 10 years." And I was a little ornery because I'm kind of that way, and I said, "When's the last time you had a drink?" And they said, "Well, I don't want to talk about that." And
Uh-oh.
and the truth is that I was the most sober person in the room, and I was the one in recovery, but I had the most sobriety in the whole room. And sometimes people put you down to make themselves feel good. And if they see the change in you, then they got to quit focusing on you, and then who's that leave them to look at?
That's true.
So I'm not disagreeing with Lisa. What she said was the truth. You got to decide where you're at. Okay. If you're where she says you are, then that's where you are. But if you're dealing with a person who just is, they're just going to keep beating up on you because that's what they're going to do, then you are not being your own best friend. You are not treating yourself like someone you're responsible for caring for. That's Jordan Peterson. You're not doing that if you continually go back. You know, Kate said something to me a few weeks ago, and I wrote it down, and I hope I quote it correctly. She says it's a song, and I looked it up, but I still didn't get it from the song like she says she did. I told her she needs to work on it and teach it. But she was talking about somebody in her life that she doesn't get along with, that was abusive to her, and that she tried really, really hard to have a relationship with, and it just kept hurting her. Any of this sound familiar?
Yeah.
You know, kept trying to make this person happy and couldn't make them happy. And here's the statement. She said, "I can no longer set myself on fire just to keep you warm."
Wow.
And she said she got it from a song, and she played the song for me, but I'm like, I didn't hear that in there the way you did. I mean, I think that was a powerful statement. I can no longer set myself on fire just to keep you warm because you want me to keep you warm. I can't keep killing myself and making myself suffer just to keep you warm. And a lot of the time we do this is we want these people in our life. You know, Lisa and I are a blended family, and all of our kids kind of went through one thing where they were going to make their parent, not some more than others, they were going to make their parent be a parent, the other parent, not us, the other parent, right? The ones that weren't you know, doing everything they were supposed to do. And sometimes that's what we do. You know, we don't get everything that we think we should get when we're kids, so by God, we're going to get it. And the truth is, I mean, the time for that's over. We can't go back in time and get that. We have to see what we can get right now. And sometimes what they have to offer right now isn't healthy. So anyway, I thought you did real good, Miracle. you know, I thought Lisa did real good too.
She put
Anyway.
a hand up here. I think she has something to say.
Oh, does she? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll be quiet then.
Hey, Miracle, I was going to say that I think everything that my husband said is absolutely 100% true. However, that applies to step 9, and we're talking about step 8. So, step 8 says we have to become willing. And so, step 8 is about Miracle making changes within Miracle. And that is, I'm not talking about you going out and actually treating your mom differently. It's about, are you willing within your heart to find a change in your heart and your position of moving from anger to love, moving from resentment to grace. It's about you being willing to make a change so that when God presents an opportunity, you're willing to take it. It's not about us going and doing it. So many people get stuck and confused between step 8 and step 9. This is not for the time where we go and do. This is where we become willing, and then we patiently wait for God to present the opportunity for us to go and do. Again, we are not human doings, we're human beings. So that's all I had to say about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And since she got the last word, we're going to move right along.
Yes.
Anyway, I guess you can tell we both love you, Miracle. Without further ado, please welcome Doug.
I don't know if I want to get in the middle of this fight.
We say hi to Paul.
Now,
Hey.
now Miracle's back here bossing me around.
Sorry, hi, Paul. We do see you. We love you.
Yeah, Paul. How are
Yeah,
you?
that's Paul. He's been there a while.
I normally say at this juncture, Miracle,
Sorry.
that does anybody have any particular comments? And we want to give everybody a chance to say hello. So, Miracle, we're going to start with you. Do you have any comments, and do you want to say hello?
Well, thank you to everybody and Zach and Lisa. And like I said, thank you. I'm glad everybody's here. Glad to see Paul. I'm glad to see everyone. Love you guys.
And we'll go to Paul, if that's okay, Paul.
Yeah, I kind of snuck in on you. Tonight was supposed to be date night, but I decided I'd spend it in the hospital again. Everything's fine and under control. I'm just being observed. But it's always good to be amongst you. And glad to see y'all tonight.
Well, we're glad you're here with us tonight, Paul, and you know, you're on the schedule for next week. And you're still there unless you tell me otherwise, okay?
Yes, sir. I should be out of here tomorrow morning.
Okay, well, that's awesome.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay, and we're gonna go to Debbie, unless you have something else you want to say, Paul.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, here we go, Debbie.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Debbie.
everybody. We're glad to see you and just glad you're with us tonight.
Any comments on what's been said so far?
Nope.
Okay, Doug, let's go to Doug. Doug, you're next. Doug, number 2. And then John will be going to you. Here. There you go.
I've been in the working the step 8 in the study guide, and on the first page, the profile, it mentions the 4th step. That kind of was a trip when she mentioned that. And Zach saying about sobriety and recovery, like I will say every time I do a testimony, an old man in prison told me you could have 30 years of sobriety, but if you ain't got no recovery, you're doomed.
That's right.
How many times have you heard that, Doug?
Not enough.
And one more thing about the fire. Sometimes you just have to distance yourself. I ain't gonna mention no names, but my peer, we ain't gonna mention no names, can't. tells me all the time, you're going to have to distance yourself from certain people, you know, because I'm used to prison and thugs. You know, I've been doing good. January 10th, 2010, 10 years ago. That's the longest, and I'll never go back. My health right now, I'll die in there if I go back. So, you know, I've got to take care of Doug. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much, Doug, number one.
Yes, Doug, number two, and we're glad you're with us today. And we'll
Thank
go
you.
to John Jacob Jingles Hammersmith, John Jacob Jingle Hammersmith. That's, here you go, John.
Yeah, it's a good messages tonight. Good stuff tonight. I just something we all need to hear and need to work with and stuff.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Did I get everybody? Did I hit everyone?
Zach, Stacy.
Macy is not here, and so I don't see anyone. So
You did, but I do have a thought.
okay. Well, let's tap that thought.
When it comes to the people in our lives that are so hard to put down, because we develop friendships or their family or something, that's what we're used to, and we tend to be afraid to have to learn something new, and so we stay in those relationships for well past the time that they have been abused beyond belief. And it kind of reminds me of Dave Ramsey talking about finances, but it applies. He says that you're like a baby that has pooped his diaper, but it's warm and it's mine, so I'm just going to sit in it and be happy. And we tend to be willing to put up with something really toxic for fear of having to learn how to behave in a good relationship, or without anybody to hang on to. We think a sinking ship is better to be on than it is to be out treading water, but
Amen.
truthfully, treading water, at least you're not being injured constantly.
Right.
That's it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, and thanks everyone for their input, and thank you for Lisa for hanging in there, and Zach helping out, and Macy, and Doug number two, and John, and of course Debbie, and let's not forget Miracle back here. And so I want to start off with a comment from about something that Miracle was talking about, is about the fertilizer that we use. And I was thinking that, in present day, they use all kinds of different fertilizer, some biological fertilizer, yes, that whether it's residue from cattle or chickens or whatever. And that's the reason why it's so important to sometimes to clean our fruits and vegetables and things like that, not only from the chemicals, but from other residue. You know, we're talking about sometimes we just had a recall on lettuce not too long ago, and that's because that residue was in that, they didn't get it out, I'm assuming. And so we need to, sometimes we gotta get washed off from some of the pollutants that come our way from toxic individuals. Is that okay how I said that? Is that okay? And so and I like what both Lisa and Zach said. So I agree with them both. But timing is everything, and I think that was Zach's point, and I think that was also Lisa's point. You both made the same point about timing. And
oh, come on, Doug, pick a side. Pick a side, Doug.
Oh, that ain't.
I did pick a side. my side. And so, and so, but timing is important. Okay. Timing is important. And sometimes, we have to, as you pointed out, we have to put separation so that we can gain some perspective and control, some awareness, some new habits, changing ourselves, which is exactly what Lisa was talking about, becoming self-aware, because you can't change something if you're not aware of it. And so, and start to change our, clean up our side of the street, change our stuff. Okay. And because when in our former selves, or in the day, as they say, we take on the job of saying, I'm going to fix this situation. I'm going to fix that person because it offends me. Does that sound familiar about anything going on today? Just thought I'd ask that question. And what recovery, we're not talking about sobriety. Doug mentioned sobriety, and so did you, Zach, about recovery is an internal change, just what Lisa was talking about, an internal change, mental, emotional, and behaviorally change. And then when we get better at being the better self, then we can see if it's healthy, if it's possible to maybe restore some of those relationships, which is what 9 is about. But then again, we have to be cautious. We have to be careful, because 9 is not about healing them. It's still about healing us. And we'll talk more about 9 next month. And step 8, as Lisa said perfectly, was step 8 is about becoming willing to look at ourselves and address ourselves and take personal responsibility about ourselves and help ourselves get better. Have I threaded that needle good enough, Zach?
Yeah, you gave her everything she wanted, Doug.
So, in the analogy of fertilizer,
yes,
we need a little bit of that in our life to cause us to grow. But if you had a tomato plant and you put just the right amount at the roots of the thing and dig it in, that will help it grow. And we could equate that to taking crap off of somebody. But if we were to back up with a dump truck full and bury that tomato plant under 5 feet, it's not going to survive. And that's what happens to us if we don't put some boundaries in our lives.
Absolutely. And Zach, looked like you had a flinch or thought. No. Okay, you're good. All right. Okay. And
Hey, Doug,
Yes.
to go along with Paul talking about that fertilizer, and I would like to preface this, Linda, plug your ears.
Uh-oh.
So I heard it said a long time ago that, fertilizer that has not been properly dried out and aged is just bullshit. So so we got to make for sure that we're making sure that it's letting us grow, and it's not, it's not actually just fluff, so to speak, or smear on the shoe.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Lisa. And but your point is very, very true, Lisa, because I've known people that have used chicken manure for on fields and on different things, and when it's too green, it will actually burn things or mess things up. And Paul's shaking his head. And so there again, we're back to timing is important in all of life, and amounts and balance. And the trouble is, most of us have been, well, all of us have been raised in chaotic life, in a chaotic world. How about there? We'll start out real big. We're living in a chaotic world, and some are more chaotic than others. And so all the dysfunction and brokenness of ourselves and others, our family of orientation, all is a factor of that. And for me, when I finally come to the understanding and awareness that I'm glad that all of that happened to me, because that helped me to be the way that I am. Okay. Now I wouldn't want to relive it. I wouldn't want to redo it. I wouldn't necessarily want to see it for my children or for anybody else's children. But the fact of it is, I accept reality the way that it is, and then allow that to help me to be what I need to be. And that I use, let's use this analogy, I use the lemons of my life to make, hopefully, lemonade, bring some good stuff into it. And so now that's not easy. That's not easy. That's not easy. But that's what Saturday Night Live, Life Recovery is about, is to help people to process the hurts, the problems, the biological material that we're talking about, to transform it into a productive thing in our life instead of
If anybody doesn't know what that is, we're talking about shit. I just wanted to make sure, because not everybody out there may know, and so I was just trying to help.
We appreciate your help, Zach. Yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, that's right, Miracle. Miracle's reminding me of the joke about the little kid that was two kids that were digging in the pile of manure, horse manure, and one kid, the one kid was digging in it, and he was so happy and excited. The other kid had a room full of toys, and he was going through the toys, and he was mad, throwing everything, and said they was all no good. He was aware of them; they were all broken. He didn't like anything in this room full of toys. And the kid that was digging through the pile of manure said, "Why are you so happy?" Somebody asked him. He said, "Well, because with this much manure, there has to be a pony in here somewhere." So there are some good things out there, and we have to be willing to look at them. And perspective is the ingredient of life. How you see things. It's, I like what I first heard it from Dr. Wayne Dyer, but then I understand it's actually from Max Planck, Dr. Max Planck, that says, not when you change the way you look at things. He was a physicist. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's when we have to change how we see things. And that's what recovery is about. And that's what step 8 is about, is becoming willing to look at what we've done, the seeds that we have planted in our life, in other people's life, and see the harm that we've done to others and to ourselves, because we've done extensive hurt to ourselves and to others. And so we have to look at that, and we have to be willing to be aware of that, and so that we can begin to grow and change and get ready to see what we need to do to help repair these issues in ourselves and in others. And we have to do that in a healthy way. And in some of these cases, like when we get to step 9, that you're supposed to work with an advisor, a sponsor, a pastor, or someone that has already been down the road and that could say, well, wait a minute, let's take it one step at a time. Let's just, it's not about jumping off a cliff. We have to we have to make healthy choices. And speaking about that, I want to read this quote. I don't know if it's a quote or not, because I don't have it attributed to anybody, but I like it and I'm going to adopt it. It can be a Doug quote. You will never change your life until you change your choices. How about that? Say that again. You'll never change your life until you change your choices. One more time, because we say important things 3 times.
You can never change your life.
You'll never change your life until you change
your choices.
Okay. And what I always say, and I may try to start inserting this at the very end, I always say, make healthy choices. And so we need to make healthy choices, healthier. Okay. I tell people all the time, on the continuum of choice, we really need to make the healthiest choice that we can. It may not be the ultimate healthiest choice, but make the healthiest one that you can. And if you've done that, you've moved away from where you've been, and you're better. And we are interested in getting better, because perfection is not possible, but it's a process, and we want to get better. And so in recovery, we have to learn to accept responsibility for our actions, even when we are powerless over our addiction. We can be powerless over what's held us in bondage and in prison, okay, whether it's pornography or drugs or alcohol or anger or prison or behavior that got you in prison.
But we have to take care of that ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so we have to deal with our consequences, and we have to address it. And we have to come to the realization that all of our addictive behaviors will yield consequences.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
May not, yeah. And I liked what Lisa said about the sweet fruit. I'd never heard that before. That's interesting. That the sweeter the fruit, the longer it takes to mature.
Right.
And so I guess I have still a long ways to go. Is that what I'm supposed to get out of that?
Get you a garden, Doug.
Yeah.
Right, Doug?
Yeah, you got to get those weeds out. Those weeds seem to grow a whole lot easier than anything else.
Yes, sir.
And so what we have to do is recognize that even though we're still caught in our addictions, and the fact of it is those propensities are in us, and we just get better. And if we're not careful, they can come back, right? Because those weeds can come back, right? Those old behaviors, they can come back if we start doing the old things that we used to do. Then those behaviors will come back too. Yes. Okay.
That's part of recovery.
And so sometimes we fool ourselves and think, well, I'm going to get in recovery and then I'm going to escape all of the consequences. I think Lisa commented on this, but we have to. Part of recovery is listen to this. Listen. You out there in Zoom and out there in internet land, listen to this. Part of recovery is accepting the consequences of our addictive behaviors.
Amen.
That's terrible. It's hard, but it's a fact. If we don't accept that, we'll never get better. We'll never get better. And so we accept those consequences and realize that part of God's recovery plan has always been that we become accountable to all those things that's going on so that we can have the elements in our life. We take the we take this stuff we've been talking about, okay, and the biological material. There you go, Zach. We take
Shit.
those.
Take the shit. I'm just helping you. You
Leave
need
it up to
help.
Zach.
You take the shit.
We take that and we use it in a productive way. And too much will kill you, but the right amount will help you identify the weaknesses or the holes or the brokenness in your own life that you can use that to help yourself to heal. Not to be a martyr, okay? We're not telling you about punishing yourself. We're talking about healing yourself. And so I want to, that scripture that Lisa used was out of Galatians 6:7, the one that I want to address here. It says, you will always harvest what you plant. Now, we can't control anything that we've planted in the past, okay? Some of that stuff's going to grow, okay? Some of it won't grow because we'll go ahead, but there's some of it's going to grow, okay? And so, but we'll harvest what we plant. So we can't control what we planted in the past. All we can do is control what we plant here right now, okay? So we plant, okay? And and when we plant good stuff, then we have a greater possibility of starting to get some good stuff to come up in our life, even when we have some bad stuff coming up in our life. So we have some good, we have some bad. This perfectionistic mindset says, well, now that I'm in recovery, nothing bad should come up in my life. That, I'm sorry to say, that's fantasy. That's not reality.
You're going to trip when you think that.
Yeah, you're going to sabotage your life. You're going to sabotage your life. And I don't mean to be harsh. It's just true. It's just true.
It is what it is.
So whatever you plant is what's going to grow. Now, sometimes we think we're planting good stuff. It's just because we don't realize what good stuff is yet.
Here we go again. Can I say one thing?
But maybe it's better than the bad stuff that we used to do, right?
That's right.
So maybe but the fact of it is, even if it's better than the worst stuff that we used to do, we still going to have the consequences of that stuff too. But it'll be not as bad as consequences, okay? All right?
Be on guard.
So just realize that we're growing. Don't beat yourself up. We're growing and we're going to get better. We're all going to get better. None of us is perfect. I am not perfect. We're all fellow strugglers. We're all trying to make our way through this chaotic minefield that we're in. And as we begin to plant healthy things, good things, those things come up, and we can hold on to those good things. Does that make sense?
Hey, Doug, when you said that,
what'd you say, Lisa?
I said, when you said that, it reminded me, I grew up in Washington State, and there's lots and lots of peppers up there. Well, there's a pepper where they look identical. There's two different peppers. They look identical, but one is sweet, super sweet, and one is super hot. But they look identical. And so if you aren't careful, you don't know what you're looking for, you could grab the hot pepper. So, like you said, in recovery, sometimes we don't know what's good. We don't know what's sweet, and we don't know what's hot. So be careful of the pepper.
That's good.
Hey, Doug.
Yes.
I have one more thing to say. My dad passed 2 years ago at 82 years old, okay? I watched him beat our mother, and he purposely did it in front of us kids in Diamond years ago in the 70s, being a deputy sheriff in Newton County, I tried to forgive him before he passed, but I just had to let it go. I may be wrong, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, there are times.
Stuff like that bring me, even thinking about it, how he treated us and everything. I'll just go out and get me a shot of dope. That'll take care of it. That'll forget about it for a day or two. No, I'm getting better.
Good. Good. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Lisa. And we're over an hour, and I promised Lisa we'd try to hit an hour. So so anyway, we're going to work on that. I don't think I've read this quote yet. This is from Robert Louis Stevenson. I used to do quotes all the time. For some reason, I guess when we shrunk down the time, I haven't been able to do the quotes as much. But anyway, here's a quote. Sooner, you'll like this, Doug, number 2. Sooner or later, everyone sits down to a banquet of consequences.
That's right. And you got to answer for them. Nobody else does, even if they're the ones that caused it. Right?
Right. So sooner, Robert Louis Stevenson says, sooner or later, everyone will sit down to a banquet of consequences.
Hot peppers or sweet peppers? I've hauled produce out of Washington State. They are hot and sweet.
Okay.
Lisa wanted me to say that it's really good stuff. You need to keep going. Her audio is cutting in and out on her.
Okay. All right.
Go all night.
Okay. All right. So I want to tell a little bit of a story here, and this is a present day live story. This is something I worked with an individual some time back, and I thought of it about what this topic that we're talking about, and the topic that we're talking about is we harvest what we plant. Okay, and so I have this story. I talked with this person, and they were just they were angry, they were upset, they were enraged, they wanted good things in their life, but they were so angry they were more focused on the bad stuff in their life. And we've talked in the past about don't drive a fuel truck, drive a water truck. Don't add fuel to the fire. If you're going to throw anything on a fire, you need to put water on it, and so that you calm things down. And this person was in my office, and we were going through what was going on and all the chaos and the anger, and finally I knew I needed to shift the focus. Okay, we was talking about focus a while ago, and I said this statement. I know I've been talking about this, and I asked a question. I said, what do you want? What do you want? And that person said, basically, I just want it to stop. I just want it to stop. I want this, and it's and basically was descriptive in what was going on. And basically I said, then all you want is really revenge. And he said, yeah, that's what I want. I want revenge. And I said, he basically said he could only think of revenge. I want to make sure I got that point. I could only think of revenge. And I said, is that going to get you what you want? So I want it to stop, And I said, well, what is it you really want? I want it to stop. I want them to have pain. I want, you understand all that? Does that make sense? And
gonna have time.
and so I said that well, what's revenge going to get you? And I said, if you continue to feed that system with revenge, all you're going to get is continue to get bad stuff. Just what we're talking about now, right? Whatever you plant, that's what's going to grow. And so I said, so I said, you really need to focus on what you really want in your life. And you need to think about what it is you want. And he said, I can't think that way anymore. I used to think that way. I used to believe that, but I don't believe it anymore. I just, all I want is, I want revenge. I want to punish people. Does that make sense? And so what we need to, there you go. And so we kind of worked it back and forth a little bit, and I want you to realize I didn't want to make him, I didn't want to anger him any more than he already was, but I wanted to try to help him to shift. And I kept asking him, well, what is it you really want? And he couldn't come up with anything other than revenge. And then that's when he said, I don't believe that way anymore. And so I use one of my favorite techniques, and that's called silence, to let them think about what they've said. And so let it kind of work through and ask him what he wanted. And he still could never really say other than that what he wanted. But I knew that's not what he wanted. You know what I mean? And so, hey, by the way, folks, what do you want? You get exactly whatever it is that you say you really want. Whatever you want. Trouble is, we oftentimes say we want good stuff, but then we sabotage it with other thoughts. Now, I'd rather us do both thoughts and sabotage it to some degree, because whatever you plant, you're going to get both the bad and the good. Okay. And hopefully somewhere down the line will come where we can focus more on the good. That's the purpose of my story here today. The end. All right. Time passed. We happened to come together in a private opportunity where we could talk just a second. And I said, hey, you remember that last conversation we had in my office and how you were thinking at that time, and how are things now? Because, I push the edge of the envelope like sometimes I do, but I don't want to make people mad and push them away, because I'm a believer, I like you closer than further. Okay. It's easy. I learned how to push people away in my earlier life. Okay. So I can do that. I don't want to do that. So I said, remember what we talked about and the questions that I asked, and he said immediately, I'm way better now. I knew he was better. Okay. His demeanor showed me he was better. He functioned differently. And he said, this is his statement. I just was mad. And that's all I could see. I was just mad. And that's all. I was focused on that, but that's not what I want. And he wants a good life. And he went on to say I'm going to let that go. I'm not going to feed that anymore. Whatever they do is what they do. I didn't push him on a specific target, because we weren't really in a place to go ahead and do that, but I did want to ask the question. And anyway, that's my story. So, verse 9, and tonight is about just in the right time, is the title I gave for tonight. Just in the right time. And out of Corinthians 6:9, it says that that doing good, okay, doing what is good, just at the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. If we don't give up. You know, if we plant a crop of corn and then we quit and we don't harvest it, then all we have is the cost of it. We don't have any of the benefit of it. So we need to stay in the game, even if it's a bad year. You know, harvest what you can, right? Get some of the good out of it. All right? That's just economics. I have a whole nother page, but I think we're gonna wind her down right here. And but I wanted to ask and see if anybody had any particular thoughts about this comment. We'll start with Debbie. Debbie, you have any thoughts on this particular comment or what we talked about? Nothing? Okay, no ideas? All right. Paul, you got any particular thoughts you'd like to share with us?
No, I stepped away for a minute, so I kind of missed most of that.
Okay, all right. Okay, Miracle, you got any thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I just gotta be, patient and look at what I want, like we talked to afterwards, and, be careful how I approach it, but yeah, got a lot of work to do.
All right. Doug, you got any thoughts?
Yes, sir. Thank you. One more comment. I'll never be as good as I want to be. This may sound bad, kind of. I may sound saying it wrong, but I'm better than what I used to be.
Yes.
And if I don't give up and trip, as Daryl would tell me, I can't go backwards. I go forward. And the deal with me holding that grudge against my father, he's the one that's going to have to answer for that, not me.
Again.
Well, he will have his part that he has to deal with, and you have your part that you have to deal with.
Right, that's right. You're right.
You know, so I would suggest that you stop swallowing poison.
I know it.
The best you can.
I'm poor mother. Each day raises pretty much from I was 10 years old, and she got sick, and I had to take care of 5 younger brothers and sisters and learn to cook and clean at 10 years old. She didn't leave. She stuck by us.
Okay, and let's go to Zach. And by the way, we have several people that sent me messages saying what it is they want. So, Zach, any comments?
I just think that's a really good question to ask. You know, that you taught me that a long time ago. That what do you want? And then I mean, you could spend days talking about that. Sometimes you don't know what you want. And you think, oh well, that's a bad thing, but it's not. I mean, that's knowing quite a bit. if you don't, so sometimes you don't even know that you don't know what you want.
Yes.
And that's intuitiveness to know that you don't know what you want. And another question, these are things when things get hard that I try to ask myself, well, what is it that I want? Well, sometimes the answer is I don't know, or sometimes the answer is, well, I can't have what I want. Okay, well, if I can't have what I want, what can I live with? The next good question is that goes along with what do I want is who do I want to be?
Good.
because who I want to be, coincides with what it is that I want. Because if I want to be a healthy, sober person, then I don't want bad things. Things may be heavy right now. I may be having a bad, day, week, month, year, whatever. Maybe stressed out, frustrated, maybe feeling overwhelmed. Um, you can. I have moments where I want to drink. When everything's overwhelming. But I ask myself, okay, well, what do you want? Well, I want to drink. Okay, well, that's not healthy. So, who do you want to be? Well, I definitely don't want to be somebody who wants to drink. Okay, so what do you really want? Well, I really don't want to drink. I want all this stuff to go away. I want the stuff to stop. Okay, but what part of that am I contributing in that I can stop contributing to my own stress and chaos? What's my portion of that I'm doing? These are things I ask myself. Am I making a stressful situation worse? Am I trying to force myself to figure out an answer that just isn't going to come today? Am I putting unrealistic expectations on myself? Am I angry when I'm really sad? Because angry is an easier emotion than sadness. I've taken that question, what is it that I want, and I've done a pros and cons list. I've written down what do you want, and listed off the stressful things and what do I want in each of these stressful situations. And sometimes you can want more than one thing. Like miracle, not to pick on you, but you can want a relationship with your family but not want to be mistreated anymore, because that's a bunch of crap. You can want things, multiple things at one time, and they may seem like they're impossibilities, and then you may feel, okay, well, I can't have that. Okay, so what I want look like? What does that look like? What do I need to do or be? What do I need to, and it's not about knowing the next 14 steps. It's about knowing the next right step in front of you. And so, that question for me, what do I want, goes hand in hand with who I want to be. Because when the pressure's on and chaos is swirling and things are stressed out, what I want can, we're all human. Sometimes our flesh wants unhealthy things. Like right now, you referenced it earlier, and I probably people
Lost you, Zach.
because what they're asking for, if they thought about it, I don't think they really want it. I think the truth, huh?
We lost you. Heard a little bit.
Am I back?
You are now. You are.
This you turn on and there's. Okay, well, maybe that's a sign.
Well, I heard that.
I'll try it one more time, and if it freezes, I'll move on.
Okay.
If you turn on the news, there's a bunch of people screaming about what they want, but I don't really know that they've thought about it that much. Because if they've thought it all the way through what they're asking for, they may not want all that they're asking for. Sometimes we scream about what we want, and then we just don't want some other things.
And
and so
we go along with the TV what they want.
Yeah, and so it's knowing what you don't want is important. And it's not always it's you know, life has not been fair to me. It's not been fair to any one of us because it's not fair. And none of us get everything we want, you know. And I remember one day when I realized I didn't get. I told God one day, I said, I didn't get everything I wanted. The truth is, I didn't get much of what I wanted, God. You know, I mean, when I was younger and I was a little bit, you know, whining, but I realized in that moment that I got what I needed. I may not have liked all of it, but I got what I needed. You know, I may not have liked being locked up, but it was for sure what I needed. You know, so anyway, I'll be done and pass it back. But I think those are real important questions when the pressure's on. You know, so that's good.
I think they are, and that's really a tool. Paul likes tools. A tool is to ask ourselves a set of questions that brings us back on target in recovery. And that question right there, sometimes like Doug number 2 said, and you said also, Zach, that we sometimes people are acting out, and their acting out is more about what they don't want, and they don't realize all the damage, like the person I was talking about here, all the damage that he was doing to his life by acting out on what it is that he don't want. And so he was planting seeds that was going to produce a terrible crop in his life. And so we're gonna wind this down right here. And I just want to say thanks. Does anybody have any big thoughts before I shut down?
Make healthy choices.
Thank you, Doug. So may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you and give you his peace. And yes, Doug, you'll never change your life until you change your choices. So please make healthy choices.
Thank you, Doug.
We have some amen or thumbs up or oh me. And we'll see everybody next week, and we're going to go back to you, Mr. Zach.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight, and we're glad you're here. And whenever you joined us, if you don't mind leaving us a comment, and you know, I'm kind of ornery. If my foul language offended anybody, I'm sorry. I believe in being real, and you know, God and I are working on some things, and he hasn't got to my mouth yet. So,
but good job Monday morning, sir.
I'm a work in progress. So we love you guys, and we're glad that you're here, and we hope you come back. And if he loves me, he can love you, right? So
and me, yes, you're right.
Yeah, so that's the thing. He loves us no matter what. He is unconditional. He has unconditional love, and no matter what you're doing, what you've done, and you say, well, Zach, you don't know. Well, I don't care if it's rape and murder and you pillage the village. He loves you, and you can't get him to quit. I tried that. It doesn't work. You can't run him off. So God loves you, and he'll never quit, and he'll never quit chasing you. He's the parent that never goes away. So with that, we love you guys, and we hope to see you next week. So
I'll hear you Monday.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
We're out.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good to see you, Paul.
Miracle.
Good to be here.
Glad you're here,
Been
Paul.
praying for you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Get better. You'll be going home. You'll be better.
Yeah, I'm just here for observation tonight.
All right. You in Springfield or Joplin?
Joplin.
Okay. I got to go to Springfield Mercy next month on my birthday, matter of fact.
Hey, Doug, do you need me for anything? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and check out.
Bye, Zach.
Well, we just got next week, and I think we got everything already taken care of. So
All right.
appreciate
Love
everybody.
y'all.
Love
Good
y'all.
night.
Oh, yeah. Bye-bye.
Take care of yourself, Paul. You're important to us. Debbie,
Okay.
take
See
care of
you at church
yourself.
tomorrow if I can make it.
All right, Doug number 2 and Miracle. So bye, everybody.
Bye.
Too late now, but our leadership meeting would.
It's been rescheduled.